Hello, everybody watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 16 of Season 6 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Continental Tire Challenge at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, as we're getting set for 11 laps of racing at one of the most controversial racetracks of all time. But before we take a look at the starting lineup, let's take a look at the point standings in the top 10 coming into the race today. So after last race at South Carolina, Rob Evans took the points lead over and leads by 10 points over Matt McIntyre. Third is Jessica Sheldon, fourth Cole Deaver, fifth James McLeod. Sixth is Jonathan Zorline, seventh is Dylan Poteet, eighth is Jake Baskinger, ninth Cody Lamas, 10th Trent Dunham. Who was the big winner and loser in the points after the last race? Well, Michael Norman moved up from 23rd to 16th in points, while Zachary Fitzwater fell from 16th to 23rd in points. So basically, they traded places almost. But let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's race. So starting in the last row is Johnny Gardner and Dylan Jacobs. Top 10, Jake Rogers is on the pole for today. Starting next to him is Joey Parkhill. Row 2, Jessica Sheldon, Carson Gum. Row 3, Phil Parker, Anthony McCrory. Row 4, Jay Jefferson, Jake Baskinger. And then row 5, Chris Dollerton and Tim Fiegel. Without further ado, let's get the command to fire engines for the Continental Tire Challenge at Canadian Tire.
Drivers, start your engines!
All 40 drivers rolling for their quarter pace lap here. Now, the big thing we're going to see different from the previous races we have had at Canadian Tire in the past is that we may see pit stops during this race. So, it's not going to be a guarantee that whoever starts at the front is going to win the race. We could see pit strategies take place to where we could have random people challenge for the win, but the pace car's in pit road. Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing! So Jake Rogers got to lead the first lap, and I just heard a wreck just take place. Oh, there's cars scattering everywhere. Oh my goodness, who is that in the wall? That's Rafael LeDuc. He just impaled the inside concrete wall. Holy cow, something big must have happened, as you can still see cars just scattering, slipping and sliding everywhere, as something happened off of the final corner that caused Rafael LeDuc to actually impale the concrete wall. That is a scary, scary moment here at the beginning of this race. And it's a shame for the home country boy and Raphael Leduc, who was looking to get a good finish here at one of his home tracks here in Canada. But unfortunately, his day is going to come up short as a result of having one of the scariest wrecks I think we may have ever seen the aftermath of. Because, yeah, you saw it. He literally impaled the concrete wall. But meanwhile, back up here at the front, we got an amazing 4-car battle for the race lead. Jake Rogers has it, but you got 3 people behind him. Jessica Sheldon, Joey Parkhill, and Tim Fiegel, who all want the spot. And Parkhill gets turned! Parkhill just got turned flat out by the 15 of Tim Fiegel. Tough break for Joey Parkhill, who was looking for his first win of the season, and he just gets dumped by the 15 of Tim Fiegel. Crazy stuff going on here in the early going of the race, and also you got James McLeod off the racetrack. Looks like he's sustained damage. Same with Caleb Kilburn. And yes, there is Joey Parkhill's car. Caleb Kilburn actually is going to come back out onto the racetrack. And there's another crash. Charles Sanford and Benjamin Miles get together on the racetrack. Man, a lot of crazy stuff going on right now on the racetrack. Meanwhile, back up at the front of the field as the battle for the lead continues. But Jake Rogers has been doing a fantastic job of holding off the field. But look at that. 3 cars are literally bumper to bumper and somehow, someway not crashing. But wow, what a move by Joshua Collard. He came out of nowhere and now he's got the race lead. Takes it from his teammate, Jake Rogers. Joshua Collard just pulled off one of the best passes for the race lead I've ever seen on a road course, as he takes the position from his teammate Jake Rogers and now is going to lead this lap. A lot of cars still on pit road, Raphael Leduc being one of them. And yeah, there you see it. Joey Parkhill has taken his car over the wall and he is done for today. Man, that was a tough break for the 26. He just got dumped by the 15 of Tim Fiegel, and it just took him out of having a chance to get his first win of his career. But right now, it's Joshua Collard hanging on to the top spot on track, and right behind him, approaching the 43, is Tim Fiegel in the 15. Back behind Jessica Sheldon from around 6th on back, we got this 3-car battle going on for the 6th position. 2 of them being teammates, Carson Gum and Emmanuel Hartnett. Hartnett trying to get by the 19. But meanwhile, up here at the front, we've got a battle for the race lead as Tim Fiegel goes to the outside of Joshua Collard and takes the position. What a race we have had so far, despite chaos ensuing, as Benjamin Miles gets in the pit road and now comes out of the pits after all the craziness that has taken place. But back up here at the front of the field, Tim Fiegel led that lap as we are approaching the halfway point. I think the next lap would be the halfway point of the race, as Jake Rogers, who led early on, fell back to 3rd after everything and is now trying to hold off a couple of different charging cars. Jay Jefferson in the 87 and Emmanuel Hartnett in the 20. But they are all like nose to tail trying to maybe see if maybe a slipstream drafting effect can help them catch up to the back bumpers of the 2 drivers in front of them. But we are approaching the part of the racetrack where we have seen passing go on, but the leaders might catch a slower lapped car in Benjamin Miles, and that could cause some problems for these leaders up here. No move was made in that corner, as that's been the part of the racetrack where we have seen all the passing for the lead go on, and all the way up this hill and then down the hill. Update on the drivers out of the race, and now Rafael Leduc has officially taken his car over the wall as well. But you gotta wonder, since I put the pit frequency up to 3 times, we gotta wonder, when will these drivers elect to come into pit road? Meanwhile, we got side by side for the 4th position, as Jay Jefferson trying to get over the 56 of Jake Rogers to take that spot, but he left room for Jessica Sheldon to make a move, but Sheldon couldn't quite make the run stick, as now the leaders have gone around the 22 of Benjamin Miles, who's slow and off the pace after whatever had happened on the racetrack earlier in the day. But right now, Tim Fiegel in the 15 and perhaps his farewell season, looking for his first win of the season. And Fiegel actually comes into this race 37th in the point standings. He's definitely looking for a little bright spot here in Season 6, and he might get it here today. Even if it came through dumping the 26 car earlier, he's still looking for that victory. But you gotta wonder, again, the pit stops, if they're going to take place before the end of this race. And actually, it looks like one car went into pit road early, and that was Logan Bradley in the number 90, but he might have been involved in something, because I don't see anyone else electing to come into pit road just yet. Yeah, everyone's staying out another lap. But even... Oh, and I see some damage on the rear of the 8 of Cole Deaver. So maybe he got into it with somebody. Even Dylan Jacobs has fallen to the back of the field even further after whatever had taken place. But it looks like the battle for the win's going to come down to Tim Fiegel or Joshua Collard. Both men looking for their first wins of the season. Collard looking for his first, as well as the 15 of Fiegel, and both of them being their farewell seasons here in the Marvel Studios Cup Series. Collard tried to get a run going, couldn't quite make it stick. Meanwhile, back here, a little cluster of cars from 3rd on back. Looked like DJ Curtis might have had a run on the 87 of Jay Jefferson, but couldn't quite make it work. Double checking everywhere to make sure nothing has happened, and also to see if anybody's elected to come down pit road. Nobody up here at the front coming in this time. No takers yet. And I thought for a second it looked like the 56 was going to come in. But no, it looks like everyone's staying out an extra lap. Yeah, I was just looking at make sure the leaderboard was up to date, and we are. So less than 4 laps to go here in Canada. It's still between Fiegel and Collard has just been inching closer and closer and closer to the 15. You gotta wonder if perhaps the 43 is going to use his bumper to make the move, or if he's going to try and drive around him on pure instinct alone. Emmanuel Hardened, meanwhile, doing a great job of holding off 2 cars approaching him for that 3rd spot, Jay Jefferson and DJ Curtis. Collard, it looks like both he and Fiegel were relatively even going through that corner. Whoa, Benjamin Miles went way off the racetrack and almost turned the points leader, Rob Evans, right there. That would not have earned him any respect right there. Back up at the front, Collard still trying to reel in the 15 of Fiegel. Let's see if they're going to come into pit road this time or not. Looks like they're going to stay out another lap. Still no takers right now, which is really interesting. So if they don't come into pit road before the end of the race, I feel like we're going to have a lot of drivers run out of gas, and that will make the finish so chaotic. It'll be crazy. But the margin for the lead right now is less than 0.4 of a second between the 15 and the 43. It's like there are certain spots on the racetrack where the 15 is so good, but then there are other spots where the 43 is so good. But right now, the dominant car of the day has been the 15. Ever since he's gotten up to the front, nobody's really been able to make a challenge at him, other than Collard, in which Collard, he might have something here in this corner. But no, it looks like both he and Fiegel just took the corner the exact same way. Where in the world is the... Oh, there he is. I thought perhaps the 87 of Jay Jefferson might have been caught up in something, but no, he just lost a couple of spots. But it looks like Fiegel actually pulled away a little bit from the 43 of Collard, but we're about to see if anybody's going to come into pit road this time or not. None of the leaders elect to come in. What about anybody back here? Hardenhead looks like he's going to stay out another lap. Looks like the majority of the top 10 is going to stay out. Anthony McCrory off track and into the wall, but merges back onto the racetrack after everything that has taken place. But yeah, nobody coming into pit road, so you got to wonder how close these drivers are on fuel, as meanwhile Fiegel's lead grew to a little over half a second now. Collard's really going to have to push the pedal to the metal, especially if nobody's going to come into the pits. Oh, we got a couple of cars damaged. Melissa Alexander is damaged, along with Dylan Young. Must have been an incident between those two that took place and transpired. So now both of those cars are most likely going to be done for today. Tough break for quite a lot of cars from Average Joe Enterprises. In fact, all four of their drivers are running 33rd or worse on the racetrack. Man, this has not been a good day for that team. But when we get to the line, it will be the white flag. So let's see if they're going to be able to make it on gas the rest of the way, or if they're going to have to just come into the pits to top off, or are they going to try and save fuel? As I'm looking around to see if anybody's going to come into the pits, and it doesn't look like anybody in the top 10 is going to go into the pits, but I'm afraid that we're going to have a lot of drivers run out of fuel, and that's really going to screw things up. But the white flag is out here at Canadian Tire, and Fiegel's lead grows to a second and a quarter over the 43 of Joshua Collard, as it seems like Collard might have used his stuff up too soon and now is paying the price for it as he's losing ground to the race lead. Tim Fiegel, despite controversy of turning the 26 early on, taking him out of the race, it looks like he's going to maybe persevere and win this race if he has enough fuel. If he doesn't have enough fuel, then things are going to get really, really messed up as far as who can win this race. Emmanuel Hardnett has made a great effort to get up to the third spot. And then you got teammates out of Curtis McIntyre Racing fighting for the fourth position, DJ Curtis and Jonathan Zorleen. It looks like Zorleen might have a run for that position. But we're getting ready to come out of the final corners. It looks like everyone's good on fuel somehow, some way. And the checkered flag is going to wave momentarily. I thought the 15 might have ran out of fuel, but the checkered flag waves. Tim Fiegel wins the Continental Tire Challenge at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Chaos, but also great racing at the beginning, and also quite a bit of controversy came out of this race as well. So, crazy event to conclude here at Canadian Tire. Our only trip to this racetrack this season. But congratulations to Tim Fiegel for his first win of the season. But let's look at the rest of the results. Joshua Collard had a fantastic race car, but he used his stuff up too much and ends up finishing in second. Emmanuel Hartnett, who was dead last in the points, might actually move up a few spots as he finishes in third. Jonathan Zorling's good luck streak continues with a fourth place finish. And then DJ Curtis rounding out the top 5. Rob Evans looks like he's going to extend his points lead as he finishes in the 6th position. Jay Jefferson finally gets a good finish in the 7th spot. Seth Cole with a phenomenal run in 8th. Jessica Sheldon continues her momentum in 9th. And then Jake Rogers rounds out the top 10. Then there's the rest of your top 20. And how about Kyle Matthews? Even after getting spun out earlier at the start of the race, manages to get a top 20 out of that. Remarkable. Then there's the rest of your top 30. And then the rest of the field. And it looks like Phil Parker ended up in some trouble at the end. He, I think, will probably end up being scored 35th after all this said and done. And I think the leaders just now ran out of fuel. So they had one lap to the good on gas. But right now, according to scoring, although it might update itself soon, the bottom 5 currently is Benjamin Miles, Dylan Young, Melissa Alexander, Joey Parkhill, and Rafael Leduc. But that does it for our coverage here today at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Next time we head to Kentucky Speedway for the Quaker State 400. But until then, here are your results. Rookie points and regular points heading into Kentucky. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off.